see its image everywhere, right? On flags, in movies, carved into stone. It's an animal we all feel like we know. But behind that classic symbol of the undisputed king, there's a much deeper story. One of biology, of complex social lives, and maybe surprisingly, of a very fragile existence. So today, we're explaining the lion.
I mean, for thousands of years, this title has belonged to the lion and the lion alone. It's basically a universal shorthand for raw power, for royalty, for the sheer majesty of the natural world. But how did it get that reputation? And more importantly, what does that crown really mean today?
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the lion's massive cultural shadow. Then we'll look at the incredible biology that makes it a true apex predator. After that, we'll explore its totally unique social life, confront the really sobering reality of its decline, and we'll wrap up by asking what the future could possibly hold for this global icon. So, first things first, let's just try to understand why the lion looms so large in our imagination. Its role as a symbol is pretty much as old as civilization itself, and it stretches across just about every continent and culture.
And this is not some new thing, think about it. In ancient Egypt, the goddess of war, Sekhmet, had the head of a lioness. You jump over to Mesopotamia, and it was the ultimate symbol of a king's power, plastered all over palace walls. It represented the tribe of Judah, and get this, even in China, where lions never even lived, you had these powerful lion statues guarding imperial palaces. From ancient stories like Aesop's fables all the way to the movies we watch today, the lion has always been our go-to for representing strength, courage, and authority.
Okay, but all that symbolic power, it's not just made up. It's rooted in something very, very real. Let's dig into the biology behind all that brawn, because this is an animal that is literally engineered for dominance.
So just take a look at these numbers. What's really striking is the sheer scale and the huge difference between the males and the females. The males are just way bigger. I mean, some in southern Africa can weigh over 225 kilograms. That's almost 500 pounds. This size difference has a name. It's called sexual dimorphism, and it's a really key part of their biology and how their society works.
And get this number is just mind-blowing. Almost 59% of a lion's entire body weight is pure skeletal muscle. That is the highest percentage found in any mammal on the planet. It's the engine for that explosive, terrifying force you see in the hunt. But there's a catch. It's all built for a short sprint, not a marathon, which explains exactly why their hunting strategy is all about stealth and teamwork.
And this is a perfect example of how science just completely changes how we see things. We all used to think that iconic mane on the male was just battle armor, right? A shield to protect its neck. But the real story is so much cooler. A big, dark mane is basically a giant, flashy advertisement. It's signaling to the females, hey, I'm healthy, I've got high testosterone, and I have great genes. The trade-off? That beautiful hair makes him way more likely to overheat, which proves it's an honest signal. Only the absolute fittest males can afford to have it.
But honestly, the thing that truly sets the lion apart from every single other wildcat out there, it's not the roar, it's not even the mane. It's the fact that they are deeply, profoundly social animals. They live in these complex family groups that we call prides. So what does a pride actually look like? Well, you can think of it as a sisterhood, really. The core, the absolute heart of the group, is a unit of related females. Sisters, cousins, mothers, daughters, and they live together their entire lives. They hunt together, they raise their cubs together. The big males, who are often brothers or cousins themselves, they form what's called a coalition. And their whole job is just to defend this family unit from other males who want to come in and take over.
So you gotta understand, there are basically two different life paths a lion can take. You've got the life of a resident lion, someone born into the stability of a pride, defending a home turf, that's the pride area, and then you've got the life of a nomad, which is often a young male who's been kicked out, and he's left to wander a huge, undefended range, just looking for a kingdom to call his own.
We've spent all this time building up this image of immense power, and for good reason. But the modern chapter of the lion story, well, it's a very different one. It's a story of retreat. This powerful king now finds its entire kingdom shrinking and its rule under constant threat.
And this isn't something that just started happening. This has been going on for a long, long time. They were already gone from Europe by the time of the Roman Empire. They vanished from the Caucasus region 1,000 years ago. By the mid-20th century, their entire presence across the Middle East and Southwest Asia was just extinguished. All that's left are scattered populations in Africa and one tiny isolated group in India.
And if you think that's all ancient history, well, that decline has hit hyperspeed in our own lifetimes. Since the early 1990s, we're talking just 3 decades, the total lion population in Africa has fallen by an estimated 43%. That's staggering. Almost half have just vanished in a single generation.
So what's the threat today? It's not other predators. The lion is at the top of the food chain. No, the threat? It's us. As our own populations grow, the lion's savanna habitat just disappears, and conflicts over livestock and land become more and more common and more deadly for the lions.
And that brings us to this really stark paradox, right? An animal that we as a species have used to define power for all of human history. Now its very existence depends entirely on us. Its future isn't guaranteed at all. It's going to be decided by the choices that we make right now.
And this isn't just an opinion, it's official. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, lists the lion as a vulnerable species. And that's not just some bureaucratic label. It's a global warning light. It's the world's scientists agreeing that this species faces a high risk of disappearing from the wild forever. The king of the beasts is now officially in peril.
And that's the question I want to leave you with. For all of recorded history, we have looked to the lion as the ultimate symbol of strength and power. So, if an animal that powerful, that revered, can be pushed all the way to the edge of existence, what does that say about the scale of our own power? And what does it say about our responsibility for the world that we are shaping?